The financial markets are showing signs.
Okay, underway here on the BCast on thebcast.com, a live show from the new studio in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Still breaking. It's like having a new car.
It is.
Right? It's got that new set smell.
Is that going to be like an air freshener that you can actually purchase at the car wash, or?
It actually literally did have a new set smell because there were, some of the construction materials, and they opened the window to air it all out and all of that. Glad you're here. Glad that hope the day is going well for you. We have a tremendous amount to get to here on the broadcast today, and people were making fun of us. I noticed in the chat that they were talking about some of the computer problems we've had over the last year. They were saying, don't these people use Mac computers? Isn't this a bad advertisement for Mac computers? And but as a lifelong Mac user,
You've made more trips to the Mac store in the last week.
We just abuse our Macs a great deal. But I had a hard drive replaced on a machine, and
Is there like a 12-step group for that?
And then it was having problems today. So I'm fresh back from the Apple store.
You are.
And so, but you've lined up.
And complete with a haircut.
I did.
You did get a haircut.
Well, I thought at least one person on the show should have a hairstyle that looked. Oh, I better just stop that sentence right now.
Oh, there is not a wuffle big enough. That's all I'm saying. There isn't. No, there is not a wuffle big enough in the world.
You've gone curly this week or something. Is it? I know it's part of the MSNBC anchor look, right? That's what they were yesterday.
I was going for that.
That's
I
what you
figure
wanted?
they're probably hiring.
All right.
How much they're paying.
I'm happy to call you Contessa if that's what's going to make you happy.
Contessa, she doesn't have curly hair, does she?
I don't.
This shows how often I watch MSNBC, I guess.
Or who are some of the other ones over there? I don't know. Nora, right? Isn't Nora O'Donnell, or is she on regular NBC? I don't know. Okay, so let's do this first, because we put up the story yesterday about this new omnibus spending bill and all of the.
They're saying in chat. Mike in chat said that the mics above our heads here are going to become lethal weapons. I'm going to start swinging across. I'm going to take you out.
I have the mics on. We just don't. The issue is we don't have them hooked up because I have a new mixer that I've got.
Yeah, we're going to be here for another year if we start talking about all of our audio issues. So we're going to go back to the news of the day.
Right. Yeah, I could use it just as all right.
No. We're going to be here for what, 4 years? Like, let's
Okay.
Get going.
All right. So here's the deal, because I'm going to get. In fact, I'm going to bring in Jon Seidl here. I think right at the top, just because he was the one that noticed that heard this before. We're getting a lot of traction on this big spending bill and the couple $1 trillion. And let me.
Jon made the Lizified blog today. I have to say.
Really?
Yeah. Like a pretty.
That's pretty scary. I just put him up there. Jon, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Now I'm not hearing him. Give me audio. Give me audio. Okay, count to 10.
1, 2.
Gotcha. All right, you're there.
Here.
So how do you feel about being on
trillions like this omnibus bill?
Right, exactly. And how do you feel about being on the Lizified blog on the bcast.com?
Well,
say something nice.
I feel great, except Liz and I, as she mentioned on the blog, started talking about this today, and my blood just started boiling.
Yeah. Now you said to me, did you just see what happened on Fox News with Megan? No, it was Bill Hemmer and Senator Cornyn, and I had not seen it, right? And I went and I looked at it, and Hemmer goes after Cornyn, asking about some of the earmarks that he had, in the bill, and I thought, okay, that's interesting and a little confrontational. But we put that up, and it just went through the roof. Were you expecting that?
I mean, I hate to toot my own horn, Scott.
About your story selection prowess? Yeah. Right.
I kind of did, because, one, I think conservatives are so sick of this crap. And it just stood out to me as, Cornyn, and kudos to Hemmer. But it was so hypocritical to me to be railing against these earmarks and then to come out and be like, well, yeah, I do have 16 million in them, but not just that, but then to also try to defend them. And to me, his defense was just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, one of the things I was trying to understand, because I was listening to Hannity when I was driving back from the Apple store and the hard drive repair effort, and he was saying that there were some senators that had earmarks in this bill, but that it was a little bit different. If I understood this correctly, Hannity was saying that some of them had earmarks that were in earlier bills earlier in the year. All of a sudden, these things are part of this mega package bill, and that some of those senators oppose the new bill, and so wouldn't be like supporting their own earmarks, if I understood it correctly. But it sounded here, at least, like Cornyn was at least saying that he felt that the earmarks that he had put forward were defensible.
Well, I think Cornyn's trying to have it both ways.
Okay.
That's part of his defense. But then what I say to that is, this is such a big issue, and especially with Republicans who have campaigned on this, that this isn't something you can try to be smarmy about. This is something that if you're going to come out and be the party against earmarks, don't give me a bunch of BS political, talk about how, well, it was this way and this way. No. Are you against earmarks or are you not? And now they're coming out against. But still, what I asked Liz earlier today was, what if the Democrats didn't put a bunch of their pork in it?
Right.
What if this didn't come to an omnibus bill?
Right.
Some of these things would still be getting paid for.
Right. And Liz was just getting her earpiece plugged in and heard that last part of it. But you did hear it. I was
it's just there's nothing people love more than calling out a hypocrite. And here you have the GOP saying there's too much spending, people are adding pork, some people signed on to an earmark ban. But even if they're saying, well, these earmarks were from earlier in the year and we didn't know it was going to come about this way, it hasn't been in the last month that you had a public that was really concerned about the deficit and deficit spending. So if you look at that, it's not like even what they were taking cues at all, saying, oh, well, all that they're doing is really bad, but I have to look out for my own here with my constituents, but everybody else's earmarks are bad.
Right.
So my point would be, it's not really an excuse to say we were looking at earmarks earlier in the year and they're bringing it up in a manner different than what we anticipated, because they submitted earmarks in the first place when they're calling out the Democrats for submitting earmarks to all of these bills.
Right.
And, Megyn Kelly, I think, made a great point. She said,
listen, if I had $1 for every time every time I heard Jon Seidl say Megyn Kelly had a great, we do it? I'm going to do another Megyn Kelly post.
When has the last time that you put anything on the Blaze that had Megyn Kelly in the headline that didn't skyrocket to #1 for at least 24 hours? I'm just saying.
I'm totally serious. But go. It's like listening to you talking about
style and substance. That's what I'm saying.
Vince Flynn or
yeah, but see, both of them, style and substance.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead with your substantive point about Megyn Kelly.
Yes, my substantive Megyn Kelly point. Well, she said that this deal, this omnibus bill, wasn't just created by Democrats. It was created in the back room with Republicans. So don't start giving me lip service about how, this is all about Democrats. I think John Boehner came out today with a statement saying that the president, must veto this bill if it goes forward. And I'm thinking, listen, John, I'm not the one that's going to be calling you names like our lib talker Mike Malloy later, but give me a break. You need to take some leadership and start speaking against some of your own party.
Wow. Okay. Feisty Jon Seidl. Anything else from you, or can we disconnect you now?
Yeah, disconnect me before I get real angry.
No, but what did you think about Harry Reid calling out Republicans then on the floor? I mean, I think you just put up on the Blaze not too long ago a clip that we'll be playing in a few minutes of him saying, here, look at these sanctimonious Republicans trying to call up Democrats for the earmarks in this bill when they've had 2 years or however long to actually add their own porculus to this bill. So, are you actually agreeing with Harry Reid on something? Should we,
I hate to say it, and I haven't watched the full clip yet. I'm about to put it up. I just watched a little bit of it, and you had told me that. if that's it, I do agree with him. What I do object to is Harry Reid giving me a lecture on Christmas.
Oh, because he's a Christian and he knows about Christmas, which is how the clip starts. We'll play it in a minute, but just in case you didn't know. Yeah, Harry Reid's got it covered.
All right, John, thanks.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
All right, so you guide me here. So we have not played yet the actual Cornyn clip. We just heard
let's
John
go ahead
Seidl
and do. We've got Cornyn. Who isn't weighing in? I guess on this at this point, but we can start with the Cornyn clip.
Okay, here we go.
Are we tone deaf? Are we stricken with amnesia? What is going on here?
Senator John McCain sounding off on $1 trillion spending bill and some $9 million in earmarks. Debt clock ticking away, $14 trillion almost. My next guest says Washington still does not get it. Senator John Cornyn is on the Senate Budget Committee. He's with me live on the Hill. Good morning to you. Bill. We were told yesterday this is a total mess and that, quote, all hell's breaking loose. Is that true?
Well, yes. I think people are just so profoundly shocked that here we are a year after we jammed through Harry Reid and the Democratic majority, jammed through a $2.7 trillion health care bill, and we know what's come of that they're dropping this 2,000-page, $1.2 trillion omnibus spending bill that no one has had a chance to see until yesterday. And the more we see it, the less there is to like about it. And to me, it is completely tone deaf, as John McCain said, after coming off this election when the American people said very clearly that this...
Gray screen of doom.
The gray screen of doom
is back. So we're going to
hold on, I'm just going to play it right on mine.
Computer.
Hold on, let me just load it up. Probably help if I hadn't deleted everything that I downloaded today.
You're digging it out of the trash now as we speak?
Yeah, hold on. I'm actually...
How do you decide which color poinsettia is going to be on the BCAST set from day to day?
I had a request for a red one.
A red, okay.
So, just saying. Helping here.
Correct.
All right, hold on 1 second. Get Cornyn open here.
I'm happy to fill with other material.
See, this is what happens when I become too type A, is Cornyn. All right. Hold on. Sorry.
You type A? Really?
Yes, I clean my desktop frequently because I end up with like 400.
I'll at least use this time
hold on,
go ahead and put the email up, the bcast@gmail.com. And the IM is bcast live. And of course, anybody can follow us Twitter at the bcast. That's always a good thing to do. And
hold on 1 second.
Mike Shaw likes ham.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Ham, yeah. I don't eat ham, but I hear people like ham. It's all good. Ham. All right, hold on. I think I've got it. No, I think I have it here.
You think you have it?
I do have it. I just need to actually get it to full screen. So hold on 1 second. And if everybody could do me a...
with amnesia?
Oh.
What is going on here?
I have no idea what's going... Well, that's the clip, but I can't really figure it out why... Hold on. There we go. Now we got it. We're all set. We can go now.
I was having fun playing with my mic.
Yeah, I can tell.
Okay, here we go.
Are we tone deaf? Are we stricken with amnesia? What is going on here?
Senator John McCain sounding off on $1 trillion spending bill and some $9 million in earmarks. Debt clock ticking away, $14 trillion almost. My next guest says Washington still does not get it. Senator John Cornyn is on the Senate Budget Committee. He's with me live on the Hill. Good morning to you.
Bill.
We were told yesterday this is a total mess and that, quote, all hell's breaking loose. Is that true?
Well, yes. I think people are just so profoundly shocked that here we are a year after we jammed through Harry Reid and the Democratic majority, jammed through a $2.7 trillion health care bill, and we know what's come of that they're dropping this 2,000-page, $1.2 trillion omnibus spending bill that no one has had a chance to see until yesterday. And the more we see it, the less there is to like about it. And to me, it is completely tone deaf, as John McCain said, after coming off this election when the American people said very clearly that this runaway Washington spending and this unsustainable debt were just unacceptable. And they're sending new people in come January the 5th to represent them better than the people who are leaving. So it's really shocking, and it's profoundly disrespectful.
What can you do? Can you shut the government down? Would that be the right choice?
Well, what we can do is if we can get 41 senators to vote against closing off debate on this omnibus bill, we can do what we should have done in the first place and go to a short-term continuing resolution to keep the lights on until February. Then we can come back and do this the right way. We don't have to do it this way. This is the wrong way to try to keep the government operating.
Well, Senator Daniel Inouye out of Hawaii, he's a Democrat, and he's on the Appropriations Committee, I believe. I mean, he's got a lot to say, and the handling of the money here. He says tens of thousands of questions have been asked. They put a year's worth of work into this. He's also requested $159 million in defense spending earmarks, according to a release from the Pentagon. Now, you yourself have asked for earmarks too. According to this list, some $16 million for your home state. Can you defend that, Senator?
Well, I believe I can, but I'm not going to because I'm going to vote against this bill. This is just, the Republican conference, all Republican senators voted for a 2-year earmark moratorium so we can fix this broken system as we try to come to an agreement on how to control the debt and to embrace some of the recommendations of the Fiscal Commission. So I am for voting this bill down, even though it could arguably help some of my constituents in my state because it's bad for the country.
You favor earmarks is what you're saying.
I do not. I think we need an earmark moratorium, which I voted for 2 years, till we fix this broken system because it's become a symbol.
I got it, but I'm confused then. Why is
there
there $16 million in requests from you listed here? Is that not true?
Early on in the year, I did request earmarks that I think are individually defensible. And if we had a debate on the floor, I think I could show how they help our men and women in uniform fight two different wars.
All right, we'll watch that then. Understood. Senator, thank you for your time. You've got a well of a day ahead of you, John Cornyn. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, 19 past. Martha?
Alrighty, and so I'm looking at, we had people in chat asking about earmarks. Jamie Dupree over at AJC was saying that he found 45 earmarks for Cornyn and 26 for Thune. Thune also coming out blasting earmarks. But if I'm looking at I gotta make this bigger so I can actually see it. Where are we here? Legistorm. They try to track transparency in government. I'm looking up Cornyn and earmarks to see what exactly he requested.
You can do more research because we have more clips. You can help me. In fact, we could go to, which I'm not sure which one you would want me to go to next. Maybe the Megyn Kelly one or the Coburn one?
Either one. Hold on real quick. Okay, so he has requested between fiscal year 2008 and 2010, 20 solo earmarks totaling 21.
So we don't know. We don't necessarily know if these are in this bill.
Well, I can do it by year. So for 2010,
okay.
but
this is
just 2008 to 2010, so I don't have for 2011. I'm just saying for up until now.
Right.
He's a total of 20 solo earmarks where he didn't partner with anybody that would total just about $22 million.
Okay.
With other members, 199 earmarks totaling just about $394 million. For all of congressional, 219 for $415 million. And all sponsored earmarks, 266, totaling $1.3 trillion. In 2010, requested money for the Austin sanitary sewer overflow protection, increasing access to substance abuse treatment centers for Texas youth, Johnson Creek, Upper Trinity Basin, Arlington, Texas, energy and water, facilities and equipment, advanced fuel cell research program, Corpus Christi ship channel, Brazos River Basin and Elm Creek, life sciences accelerator facilities and equipment, squad mission support systems, Northwest, Southeast, LRT, Moss, Dallas, Texas. It's like a HUD for Texas, and it goes on and on. But I'll just put it in chat just so you can get a basic idea of what he's been requesting. But I did not find anybody actually pointing out what it was in this particular book.
And Cornyn's argument is similar to others who were saying, I had these earmarks in earlier. Yeah. I'm voting against this bill now. He is voting against this bill. Yeah. Right. And so they're saying it's not necessarily the the hypocrisy it seems on the surface.
But I don't buy it, though. Because if you
yeah.
know that the whole idea is that you want to cut government spending, and what have they done for 4 years is blast Democrats on spending.
Right.
So my thing would be, if you were serious about cutting spending and you seriously thought earmarks were bad, even you started working on this 2 years ago, and and you want to cut spending and you want to bring down the deficit, then don't submit earmarks.
Right. Well,
who cares if it started 2 years ago? Who cares about the process? If you were serious about cutting spending, then it doesn't matter if you submitted the earmarks today, yesterday, or 2 years ago. You did it.
Yes, I totally acknowledge that. Now, I'm sure that there would be people who would say, look, this money was going to be spent, somehow, some way. So why let it all go to some liberal senator's, project in Massachusetts? And it's all part of taking care of your state and your district for needed projects. But they can defend that. But I think that it shows what you're saying, which is the overall system needs to be changed. All right. Who is Megyn Kelly talking to in this clip? I could go to the Coburn or the Megyn Kelly.
Jim Angle.
Okay.
Talking about earmarks, GOP, what's going on with the omnibus spending bill, and she's basically saying, we invited you all on to actually defend what you were requesting, and all of you turned us down. So we're going to call you out by name.
Well, on the floor of the Senate this morning, Republican leader Mitch McConnell described this as one last spending binge and a repeat of all the congressional practices that voters hate. Listen.
Americans told Democrats last month to stop what they've been doing. Bigger government, 2,000-page bills jammed through on Christmas Eve, wasteful spending. This bill is a monument to all three.
Now, the problem, critics argue, is that trying to push through a 2,000-page bill in 3 days makes it difficult, if not impossible, to look closely at all the spending in there. That's a major objection from one of the longtime warriors of earmarks, Senator John McCain.
We have already identified approximately 6,488 earmarks, totaling nearly $8.3 billion. $277,000 for potato pest management in Wisconsin. You'll notice that there is a location for literally every one of these earmarks. $246,000 for bovine tuberculosis in Michigan and Minnesota. $522,000 for cranberry and blueberry disease and breeding in New Jersey.
And then there was $6 billion for a rural Iowa school named after Senator Tom Harkin, and another $18 million set aside for two nonprofits connected to two Democratic lawmakers who recently died, Senator Ted Kennedy and Representative John Murtha. There are lots of what Republican Senator John Cornyn calls sweetheart deals, and he said the omnibus spending bill might just as well be called an ominous spending bill. Now, an earmark, of course, is currently defined as any congressionally directed spending. Some of that might be justified, but lawmakers say, how can anyone know? How could they make a considered judgment when the bill is dropped on senators just before Christmas with the idea of pushing it through in only 3 days? So many Republicans and some Democrats argue the Senate should do what the House did, pass what is called a continuing resolution that just continues spending at current levels until February, when lawmakers would have the time to examine spending calmly and carefully.
All right, Jim, let me ask you a question, because it's easy to blame this on the Democrats because they're in control in the Senate. This came out of the Senate Appropriations Committee. But what we're being told is that the Republicans, who are now shocked, so shocked to receive this bill with all its earmarks in it right before the end of the year, have been working behind closed doors for months with the Democrats on this very bill. And some of the Republicans who are most outraged now, including Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn, who you mentioned in your piece, both have earmarks in it. McConnell has got $4 million for marijuana eradication efforts in the Kentucky National Guard, $1 million for construction of a blood center, and $650,000 for advanced genetic technologies. Cornyn has his own earmarks. Now, so lest anybody be confused, both parties appear to blame for this. Am I wrong?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. Now, what the Republicans will say is that we put those earmarks in earlier this year. Since then, especially Senator McConnell, since then, we have voted for a moratorium on all earmarks.
Right, but are they pushing to take them out now? They did. The Republicans voted for a moratorium on earmarks in November, but are they pushing to have their own earmarks taken out of this spending bill?
They're going to vote against this spending bill with those earmarks in it for that very reason. Now, keep in mind, Megan, this is a fascinating issue, one that's going to be debated in the the new Congress, because what does a member of Congress do? They get money for their district, right? For things that are needed in their district. The question, McCain had always defined an earmark as something slipped into a bill in the middle of the night that no one has ever looked at, never went through committee, was never voted on or scrutinized by other members of Congress. That certainly applies to this omnibus spending bill because it didn't go through committees. People just shoved stuff in there. But under other conditions, is it wrong for any member of Congress to say there is a need in my district? That is a different kind of debate and one that's likely to be held in the next Congress.
Yeah, and that's why they're talking about, okay, fine, you want at least we've got Nate.
Right. Okay, that was well defined there by Angle. I'm going to go right to Harry Reid, though, making fun of the GOP on this issue, okay, for their sanctimony.
As a Christian, no one has to remind me of the importance of Christmas for all of the Christian faith, all their families all across America. I don't think any of us, I don't need to hear the sanctimonious lectures of Senator Kyle and Dominic to remind me of what Christmas means. My question, Madam President, is where were their concerns about Christmas as they had filibuster after filibuster on major piece of legislation during this entire Congress? Not once, but 87 times. Taking days and days of the people's time here in the Senate on wasteful delay. Senate Republicans need look no further than themselves in casting blame for the predicament we're in right now. In this Congress, I repeat, Republicans have waged 87 filibusters. They've used every procedural trick in the book to delay legislation that's important to the American people. We have been able to work through most of that and have what in the mind of Norm Ornstein, the most successful Congress watcher in decades, said the most successful, productive Congress in the history of the country. We've done that in spite of all the roadblocks thrown in our way.
What roadblocks exactly? Would that be the American people? When you control both houses of Congress and the presidency and you're saying, wow, we got a lot of things passed. But glad we're clear on Christmas. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Reid. And here's Gibbs.
First, does the White House have any reaction to reports of conflicts of interest regarding the judge who struck down the health care law?
I'm sorry, say the first part again.
Does the White House have any reaction to reports of conflicts of interest regarding the judge?
I don't have any reaction particularly on that. I think if you look, there was a lot of commentary on yesterday's ruling. I think it is important to get a couple of points of perspective. 11 cases challenging the constitutionality of some portion of the health care bill have been dismissed. 2 federal courts have actually upheld the constitutionality of the very provision that another court ruled differently on yesterday. And as I said, 115 miles apart, 2 judges in the same Commonwealth came to different conclusions. So I think if you really look at the ruling, the thing that I'm struck by is, quite honestly, the narrowness of the ruling based on the petition that the Attorney General made. The Attorney General, and I think, to be clear, the Attorney General wanted the entire piece of legislation based on proving what he thought was one segment of the bill unconstitutional, that the whole bill would be struck down. The judge actually, despite a lack of a severability clause in the larger legislation, severed his ruling on the mandate away from the rest of the legislation. The practical impact, because the only thing the judge dealt with was one aspect of the legislation to be implemented in 2014, there's no practical impact at all as...
That was when I clicked on the wrong Gibbs.
Yeah, the wrong Gibbs.
Because there were 2. There was the other Gibbs clip was
when you
about
say there's
the
never enough
omnibus
Gibbs
bill, and that was him on the health care bill.
Yeah. Just saying. Never
Is it
enough
worth
Gibbs.
my going back to play the other one?
It's only 20 seconds, but it is kind of funny. So go ahead.
You know it's not playing. Oh wait, hold on. I got it.
Who's going to read that?
I was going to say, I noticed during the healthcare debate that was a big thing, and I assume many members up on Capitol Hill won't.
You really?
No. I mean, I take them at their word.
Yeah. Who's
I'm
going
going
to
to take them at their word that they've read it. No one has read it. No one will read it. No. But I should point out that Kevin just sent an interesting link from the American Conservative saying that the earmarks in the omnibus bill account for $8 billion in spending. It is possible that all of this spending is unnecessarily horrible, but it constitutes just 0.6% of 1% of the entire bill. Remember when we saw Glenn back at the Benedum and he was saying, my wife tells me I want to go on a diet, and he brought out the pimento sandwich, and he cut like a sliver off of one French fry, and he was like, I'm serious about serious about dieting. So they're saying just 0.6% of 1% of the entire bill is taken up by earmarks. All of this could be stripped out, and there would still be $1.192 trillion in the bill. Naturally, it is this minuscule, irrelevant portion of the bill that has received all of the attention. If the public isn't opposed to the gargantuan $860 billion tax deal that McCain's party leaders just agreed to add to the debt, and apparently they aren't, why would anyone suppose the public would be outraged over spending that is less than 1% of the value of the tax deal? The only thing more tiresome than the charade of pretending that opposing earmarks is proof of fiscal rectitude is the mindless repetition of the claim that earmarks represent some sort of betrayal of the public trust. The omnibus bill includes earmarks added by Senate Republicans, and because of the silly earmark moratorium Senate Republicans wanted to adopt, the presence of their earmarks has become news. However, possibly the only thing more ridiculous than having politicians complain about the evils of earmarks is complaining about members' earmark hypocrisy. Instead of harping on members' inconsistency on this point, we should welcome it as proof that the fixation on earmarks is a ridiculous distraction from the real causes of our fiscal current mess. So think about that. It's 1/6 of 1% of the entire budget.
Right.
And we're not talking about the actual overall budget. But it's a good point. Anyway, so I'll put that in chat too.
All right, you're watching the BCast on the BCast.com live show from our studio in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and glad that you're on board for it today. And tangential to the actual work being done on Capitol Hill, there is a continuing fixation on the emotional stability of the Republican leadership. Yes, many people have been making fun of John Boehner's crying. More people are crying on Capitol Hill, and we'll get to that. But first, let's let the Mike Malloy attack Boehner for a variety of things.
Oh no, it's pretty much Mike Malloy saying the fact that he cried on 60 Minutes interview with Leslie Stahl proves that he's a drunk, and basically. And then if you make it all the way to the end of this clip, and I don't want you to know how much Mike Malloy I had to listen to find this, which is just disturbing in and of itself. That if he gets to the very end, he talks about what the real goal of people like John Boehner and his supporters are when it comes to the future of this country.
You have an absolute drunk who cannot even conduct a 50-minute interview with somebody without falling into a sobbing state of collapse. I'm talking about John Boehner. If you have any doubts about this guy's addiction to alcohol, just watch him. Listen to him anytime, any place, anywhere. But especially when the cameras are trained on him and he starts talking about, what was he talking about on 60 Minutes? Walking into a elementary school and feeling the future of the children. When you couple that with the kind of leadership that exists in the Senate and in the Republican Party, if you take a look at some of the Republicans who are going to be chairing key committees for the next 2 years, if you don't pull back in absolute horror, then you must be a stupid-ass, brain-dead Republican. To normal people out there, I just suggest what I suggest to myself and the people that I know and what is suggested to me. Make sure you have contingency plans and hold on to your ass, because what the Republicans are about to do is going to be devastating. George W. Bush set the stage. Obama, in his kind of scaredy cat way, tried to stanch the flow, but it didn't work. And now the Republicans who have given us this mess, were apparently voted back in. There's a death wish in this country. There really is. There is a strong death wish by enough of a percentage of the people who go to the polls, especially in off-year elections, to bring about the end of this country. It's going to be pretty insane.
Oh, insane. Yes, it will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Clearly
they want
drunk.
the death and destruction of America.
I'm sure.
Because, you know, anybody that listens to Beck or, you know, is a conservative and a Tea Party member, I mean, really, that's their end game. I mean, you think Soros is bad and the rest of people, you know. But also got another link from Kevin that apparently he needs subscriptions, Mike Malloy does, to stay on the air. Because as of August 2010, if this is accurate, Malloy needs subscriptions to stay on the air, and I want you to all go to his website and sign up right now. There's no other way he can stay on the air, and if he cannot, that means no shows at all. Understood? So apparently there's a huge campaign in August saying...
To keep him on the air.
Gotta buy in order to keep hearing that drivel.
Who is the...
And madness and hatred.
Who is the prototypical Mike Malloy listener?
Tea Partiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to imagine like what the demographic is.
Do you know what it took for me?
I know.
Like, I have a whole new respect
for Pam. Well, yeah, because Pam yesterday was saying she's like I just listened to 2 hours of George Soros and 90 minutes of Jim Wallace.
No, you can't. I don't know how she does it.
Didn't she say she had a headache today or something?
Yeah,
I think we know why.
I think it did it. Yeah, it was poisoned words. But anyway, yeah, I just listened to I don't even know how many minutes of Mike Malloy, and at the end of it, I'm like, how do you go about your day after one, how do you listen to Mike Malloy? Two, how do you listen to a lot of Mike Malloy? And three, how do you actually live life after having listened to Mike Malloy? Because it's just venom. I mean, it's venomous, and you just feel horrible when you're done. You don't feel inspired and good and wanting to do something good. I mean, it's a horror. You feel stomach-turning ickiness.
Because at least with Stephanie Miller, you know, she can be a little bit funny sometimes, right? Even if you disagree with her, you know, it's like you could say, "Oh, I understand why liberals find this, you know, appealing." I don't get the Malloy thing, you know, at all. Now, the references to Boehner crying. Now we do need to point out that the crying caucus, as the New York Times called it, has expanded, and somebody get Senator McConnell a tissue.
It never ceases to hit me that this is the most successful deliberative democracy in history. It's an honor to serve there. Now, to say that I had to convince Judd to stay is an understatement. But he knew it was his time to move on and to write the next chapter in his life. And while senators come and go all the time, I can't help but note that when Judd walks out of this chamber, when he walks out of this chamber for the last time, he'll leave an enormous void behind. And so I'll close.
I think I think our little buzz is back. Can you try touching your cable over there? Whatever
Gone?
Yeah.
Apparently I'm not allowed to plug my computer in.
Well, it happens in studios where you got wires crossed, and I haven't strung. Once you get the wires in the right place, then you kind of can group them together. So I've got something where they're. So if you notice that buzz coming back, you know, let us know. So yes, the crying caucus has expanded. I want before we get to because I do want to have time to talk about the shooting in Florida. We had multiple clips up about that.
That was an incredible video.
Oh yeah,
you really couldn't believe
And the station in Panama City did a really interesting job.
That they covered it really well.
By last night, we had put up like 7 videos right in a row, and you could kind of walk through each stage of it. We know that Glenn has been going. Speaking of Glenn, maybe this is just Boehner, McConnell. Everybody has seen Glenn cry so much that they think this is the secret to being successful and appealing, right? No, what?
No, I'm this.
Well, the
BCAS drinking game started after Mike Malloy, and then we've decided that every time you say the word Glenn, people have to drink. So, and Blaze, I'm adding Blaze to the mix, and we're gonna have a very incoherent audience very soon.
No, I don't think so. So we know that GB has had a little running dispute with Fareed Zakaria. Zakaria went after,
you know what we never say anymore?
What?
Mogulus. Remember we had a Mogulus drinking game too. I mean, if you were Beach Hatters a year ago, you remember.
Anybody remember?
Koch and V and the gang.
No, anybody remember what Mogulus stood for? I'm asking the people in the chat. Who's the first person to remember what where Mogulus, the word Mogulus, came from into the lexicon of the BCast?
Koch. Well, Koch started it.
Oh, okay.
Or Catch, sorry.
Catch.
I keep saying Koch. I can't help it. I know I'm saying your name wrong. And, Stacy was nice enough to email and tell me how to say it properly. But no, I'm just, it's in the lexicon and I can't remember to switch it. Sorry. Yeah. And Stacy just said in chat, it's Catch. Yes, it's Catch. You'll always be Catch to me.
Catch him if you can.
Yeah.
All right, so GB and Zacharias have been kind of going, well, I don't know that Zacharias has come back.
No, this wasn't him talking about.
No, I know. What I'm saying is they haven't gone back and forth on the Muslim issue. I'm going to get to the new clip.
Okay.
I'm saying Glenn talked about Muslims. Fareed Zacharias attacked Glenn for what he said. Glenn has responded to Zacharias' attack. This then is not him talking about GB at all, but it's kind of takes you to saying when you see this very intellectual person, who speaks so, sedately and with such erudition on CNN, what does he really think of this country and the people in it?
I'm going to give you one guess.
Not good.
Just one.
Well, the Chinese are the ones who should be celebrating Thanksgiving, and we should be having a big Mardi Gras party because that's what we've become, a kind of a culture of overconsumption.
Do you have faith in the American people that we can do this?
No, I think the people are the big problem. I mean, Americans, everybody wants to say the American people are so wonderful. I think that when they come to recognize that they have to make sacrifices too, that it's not just waste, fraud, and abuse, it's that they need to have, they need to recognize that some of what's going to happen here is they have to consume fewer things. They have to accept slightly higher taxes. And in the long run, you will have a much better economy.
It's the people. It's these darn Americans. They're just going to have to learn to back it down. I wanted to actually read that quote just so I could see it in my mind. I think people are the big problem. I mean, Americans. Everybody wants to say the American people are so wonderful. I think that when they come to recognize that they have to make sacrifices too, that it's not just wasteful. They need to recognize that some of what's going to happen here is fewer. They have to consume fewer things. They have to accept slightly higher taxes.
Oh, do we? Do we have to accept that? Are we talking about the American people as a whole? Or are you just talking about the top 1% have to pay more, right, and then the number of people who don't pay anything is going to increase? Because, that seems to be the plan overall. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the upshot on the shooting. Of course, it just became compelling to watch this. I mean, it's a tragic thing, and the gunman ends up being shot and then killing himself. Unbelievable that nobody was hit or hurt.
Especially when he was 5 feet.
Right.
Maybe from the school board.
Yeah, really. unimaginable. So and we put up the raw clips in the sequence of, I think, 6 or 7 last night, and we also put up the piece about this guy's obsession with the movie V for Vendetta. Today, there were more interviews of some of the people involved. You've put up a couple of clips.
I got a couple.
Which one is the best first one to go to?
Go ahead and do the local news package.
This one, that one?
Yeah.
Okay. He had made up his mind that he was going to die today.
And it's apparent with just a quick glance at his Facebook page. Something so small as a photograph can explain a lot.
And when the fella says, look, I'm going to die, and you are going to die too, I thought, goodbye.
Clay Duke just recently created a Facebook page which shows an obsession with the movie V for Vendetta. In his About Me section, Duke said, some people will say I was evil. At the end of the movie, the main character blows up the British Parliament. Superintendent Husfeldt said Clay Duke was angry with the school board.
I was trying to get him to tell us what he was upset about and talk to us because he was complaining about his wife being fired, but none of us knew what he was talking about. And just preliminary, what we can find out is, there was no one fired of what he was describing.
Duke has quite a history. This video shows him in court over 10 years ago. Authorities allege he made threats and even shot out the back tires in a woman's car. He was released in 2004. All this information will be processed by the police as they try to piece together a complicated past.
We don't just want to end it just because his life is ended. So there's things that we want to know. Why did he go in there? Why did he pick that? And, is it going to change the outcome? No, it's not. But it's still important to know so that the community knows that what kind of event this was and not a random, kind of act.
There are still lingering questions about who his wife really is. Questions that will soon be answered.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry. I know you're tracking down a lot of stuff. All right, help me here. So there you got a little sense of the guy and what happened. But now let's get to the interviews of the people today. Both
so the Fox News, of course, got some interviews with members who are actually of the school board who were in the room. So we'll go ahead and start out with they had a chance to interview the man who was actually shot at, and to hear his side of how it felt at that moment, whether he thought he was really going to shoot, and what his feeling is now.
And then we'll get to the first woman who I love.
It's amazing.
All right, we have been showing you this video. It is disturbing. Harrowing moments inside a school board meeting last night in Panama City, Florida, as a gunman threatens to kill everybody inside. The video you're about to see is violent, but amazingly, nobody was hurt.
Listen, just listen to me for a minute. I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I've got a feeling that what you want is the cops to come in and kill you because you're mad, because you said you're going to die today. But why? This isn't worth it. This is a problem. Please don't. Please don't. Please. I'm going to get it. Don't you understand?
The shooter, Clay Duke, you saw him. He was apparently hit by a school safety officer and then later turned the gun on himself. The man who calmly confronted the gunman in that video is Bay District School Superintendent Bill Husfeldt, who joins us live right now. Good morning to you, Bill.
Morning.
Bill, when he had that gun pointing right at you, what were you thinking?
He's going to shoot. It was so surreal. When it first started, we didn't realize what was going on. And then right before he pulled the trigger in the partial clip that you showed, I knew he was going to pull the trigger. You could just see it in his eyes, and it was a look that you could just tell. He'd already told us he wanted to die, and we were going to die too.
Right. And was that you, Bill, saying to him, please don't?
That was me. That was me. Yeah, I could. We had talked for a couple minutes by then, and it was just that he got that look in his eyes, and I'm done talking, and I'm getting ready to pull this trigger. And so, we knew that the SWAT team was real close. We knew our safety officer was in the building, and so we were just trying to get time. That's the only thing we had on our side.
And at one point, I understand, before the safety officer came in with the gun and got him in the leg, apparently, a member of the school board by the name of Ginger Littleton let him have it with her purse. Tell me about that.
Well, he basically told everybody to get out except the male people on the dais at the board meeting, the board members, myself, and our attorney. And so he told them all to get out, and Ginger saw an opportunity when she could come back, and she tried to knock the gun out of his hand with her big bag, and he just threw her to the floor, and we thought he was going to shoot her right then, but you know, there were angels all around us. I'm going to tell you, you know, I just accepted that he was going to shoot me, and it's not something you want to happen, but it was. I knew that if I was shot and I was killed, I knew where I was going to end up. I knew that God was there with me. I just didn't know He was standing in front of me.
But Bill, it looked like, and I'm glad it looked like he hit you. I mean, he shoots the gun and you go down. Well, where'd the bullet go?
He's standing as close to me as I am this camera, and I mean, you can see the video. He's got the gun pointed right at me. I mean, I'm telling you, God blocked that bullet. I mean, you know, I'm not being flippant, and I'm not being a martyr. I'm telling you that you give me another reason, because he took 2 shots right quick right there, and it's just it's only by God's grace that I'm able to sit here and talk with you.
We can't really disagree with that. God blocking the bullet. I mean, how did it? You know, how could it possibly have happened? Now let's get to the first woman here. I want to get her in real quick, because that took some real courage. You know, you're out of the room to come back in. Watch.
We've shown you. This is the moments, okay? Watch this. This brave woman, see her in the white. She sneaks up and she whacks him on his gun arm, trying to get the gun out of his hand. Now, she was excused from the room. Look at that struggle with Ginger Littleton. She says that she believes she's the one female member on this board, and she was allowed to leave. He let all the women leave the room. But she looped back around through that door. There she is again. And she says it was the last chance she believed that they had to distract the shooter, because he had his back to the door where she was. She joins me now. Ginger, welcome. Good to have you with us today.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Boy, good to have you with us today. Takes on a special meaning in this story, Ginger.
I think good to have you with us today does take on being here today takes on a special meaning, yes, for all of us.
Ginger, tell me your story. What happened in there?
This large man approached the podium at a time that was slightly inappropriate, which was sort of interesting. Made a comment like, "I'm going to make a motion," and turned around and spray painted the wall. When he turned back around, he had a gun in his hand. At that moment, I think we all knew we might not have a really great afternoon. He let the women leave, and everybody was very expeditious in getting out of the room. I also started to leave, but there's a corridor there for the board members, and I just exited to the left. I did not leave that corridor, that hallway. Something said, think about this a minute. I was just reacting to his orders, and sometimes I don't take orders very well. So I turned back around, and at that point he was actually standing where I had been sitting. So he was on a level with the other board members. And I looked at my colleagues who were at that point lined up like birds on a wire, one chair after the other, and he was sitting there with his gun. At that moment his gun was hanging to his right side. I don't think there was any real thought to it. It was, I either do something now or I walk away and something very, very bad will happen. So I could either try to delay or deter or diffuse, or walk away knowing that I might have been able to do something and I didn't. So I whacked him with my purse, and that's what you saw.
Ginger, you know, it's no exaggeration to say that you are an incredible hero. You attempted, when you had a moment in your life to get away safely, you went back into that room, and it almost ended very badly for you. He knocked you down. We see you fall to the ground. So describe what he did with his gun and what he said to you at that moment.
He swung around, and whether he knocked me or he just swung so quickly that I was pushed down. I was basically sitting at his feet. He pointed the gun, just looked down at me, pointed the gun at my head, and said, "You stupid," and called me a name. At that moment, believe it or not, I thought probably that's a pretty accurate accounting of me right this minute, because I had a plan A, which failed, but I didn't have a plan B. At that moment, he said, "Get out of here," and you might have to tell me twice, but in this case, you didn't have to tell me 3 times. At that point, I got up and left.
Ginger, what went through your mind when he was pointing that gun at you? What were you thinking?
I don't think I was thinking anything. I think at some point when you have options, you start thinking things. There was no option for me at that point. He was going to do whatever he was going to do. I'd already made my move. I didn't have another move. The ball was totally in his court. And, you know, it was just a miracle that he decided to let me get up again and go.
Why do you think he did? I mean, he had you right there under his gun, and he came in there with the intent to kill. Why do you think he didn't?
I think if I had been a male, he would have. For some reason, he let all the women go. And even though I had made him angry, I was still a female, and he wasn't going to stoop to that level to kill a girl, I think. I don't know that.
What did your family say when they heard this, that you went back in there and you tried to stop him, you tried to slam into him with your bag and knock the gun out of his hand? What was their reaction?
I have 3 wonderful, beautiful, smart daughters, and to each one said, Mom, what were you thinking? And I have no answer for them. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh, Ginger, you know, I'm just amazed by you, and I give you credit for being such a strong woman, and you guys are going to have a nice Christmas, I think, right?
We certainly are, but I do want to give credit to Mike Jones. Mike Jones took action. He's the one who did the initial shooting of the shooter. Without him, there would have been a lot of people dead.
Yeah,
he's the hero.
He absolutely is, and you changed the dynamic in that room as well. And for you, you deserve the credit of hero as well, Ginger. Thank you so much. We wish you a merry.
Really amazing. I'm sure they'll have a lot to think about over the holiday.
What was the town hall? Greg put up a post. It was liberals' nightmare. God block those bullets, but hero with guns saved the day. Like,
right.
Pretty much, right? Like all those.
Mm-hmm. And a purse, and a woman swinging a purse. Okay, so
Glenn's, yeah, she's got a gun in that purse.
Glenn's starting the big show from Wilmington, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So which I'd like to monitor. So let's I'll tell you, you can pick. If we need to get some things through, because I wanted to talk about the birther trial, the border agent that got shot, of course the Greek riots and the Russian riots have been crazy. Mm-hmm. I am fascinated by the story of the New York City weather anchor who
falsely reported a rape, who's now under arrest and has been suspended.
And and then you helped find a story about the. Did you find it, or did John find it, about the TSA?
No, it was John.
John found it. The kid was saying, "Why is my mommy being frisked?"
Yeah, it's like, you have no boobs.
And and I'm not. And he says, and the TSA agent said, because she has boobs. Actually said that. So let's go to. What was the one you wanted to send along that Jeff had done?
Oh,
and
Jeff
then we have
just
the
sent
acapella
one
to close as well.
Jackie Chan clip that he thought everybody would
Let's hit
enjoy.
that. Let's hit this real quick.
Okay.
An aquarium.
Yeah, that wasn't it. Okay, here it is. I found
That
it.
would be the eel that is actually lighting up a Christmas tree.
Gotcha.
Jackie Chan has taken down dictators, terrorists, and evil empires, but he's about to face his toughest assignment yet.
Drop this jump!
Stop! It's just a kid! Oh no, not the window! Blackstone! Get him a body bag!
I hope this door's not locked. Oh, shit, it is!
Okay. Time to wrap up. Thanks for watching the BCast here on thebcast.com.
All right, everybody have a good night.
Closing out here with the Liberty University.
And tomorrow, there is no show tomorrow.
Yes, no show tomorrow.
We're on the road.
And then there'll be maybe an alternate time on Friday.
Keep you updated
Keep
for
you
Friday.
updated on that as well.
We're travel day tomorrow. So, Anyway, have a wonderful night. Be sure to send around the Bobby Jindal interview.
And yeah, I didn't get that post on the Blaze. It's been too busy. But this is from the Blaze blog, the a cappella choir at Liberty University singing. What was the song that they were singing?
I wanted to call it "There's a Stranger in My Bed," but
yes,
I know that's wrong. It's called "Bed Intruder."
Bed Intruder. Yeah, they've remixed the Bed Intruder song.
Similar, yeah. But also be sure to check out the unofficial BCast forum. Lots of stuff going on over there. It's very good. If you look at the bottom of the bcast.com homepage, we have links to all of that. So,
and we will see you on Friday.
All right. Have a great night.
You can run and tell that, homeboy, home, homeboy. You are so dumb,
are so dumb, you are so dumb, you are so dumb.